Oke, Bu. Bu Josi sudah saya jadikan host, yang Bu Sandra sudah jadi co-host. Ini si Sanju sudah, oh, hilang sementara. Sanju tadi sudah mau masuk.
Ya, mungkin nunggu dulu aja.
Ya, nunggu dulu aja. Nunggu yang lain join. Kalau nggak nanti dia kelamaan nunggu juga. Sandra, lagunya sudah disiapin, Sandra? Yang kayak kemarin.
Sudah, Pak.
Nanti tunggu kalau itu aja.
Udah mulai.
Kalau sudah ada yang join.
Oke. Ini sambil saya blast lagi sih, udah nambah 8 orang
Oke.
pendaftarnya.
Bu, kalau boleh tahu yang daftar berapa ya? Kemarin udah tak up sih di anak-anak FBE.
Iya, Bu. Per hari ini itu ada 25 yang sudah mengisi form.
Ada kelas kok, Pak. Ada kelas.
Semoga yang nggak daftar join. Jadi kelihatan banyak.
Iya, jadi kemarin tuh ada ekonomi syariah, terus ada kelasnya Dika sama Izar.
Oke, siap.
Aku tak ganti.
Untuk di YouTube-nya saya share di WhatsApp grupnya, Pak.
Oke. Belum ada yang datang ya, Bu?
Ada satu, Pak. Ini anakku sih, Livia.
Oh, oke. Pak Heri?
Pak Heri belum sih. Ini udah tak chat, tapi kok orangnya ke kampus dulu ya.
Oke. Oh ya, karena saya bukan host, jadi nggak kelihatan siapa aja yang admit. Si Sanju masih ada di waiting room, Bu?
Ada, terus ada yang Mr. Bob-nya ini juga udah.
Oh, oke. Karena sudah deket di accept dulu ya. Jadi mereka bisa
Semuanya.
prepare. Yang
Oke,
speaker aja dulu, Bu.
speaker dulu aja.
Supaya mereka tahu kalau mereka sudah pada Zoom ID yang benar. Hello, good morning, Sanjir. Good morning, Dr. Bok. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Dr. Bok. Good to see you, Sanju. How are you?
Yes, good morning. Swam, good morning. I'm good, thank you so much. This is here early morning in Surabaya, I think,
Yes. Now we are waiting for the moderator, Dr. Harry, to join. But at the moment, Dr. Sanju and Dr. Bok, you can try your share screen so that we can make sure that it can be shown during the webinar.
Maybe, Doctor, you may go ahead.
Yeah, please go ahead first. Yes, I'll follow you, up to you.
Okay, well, I hope my virtual background is now okay.
Yes, it is. It is appears very good.
Oh, Padi, I just see you right now. How are you? Been a long time.
How are you? Thank you, Sanju, for supporting this webinar. It's been a long time, yeah.
Fine, yes, it's been a long time.
Are you still in Surabaya?
Yes, I back to Surabaya now. I'm in Erlangga, international staff here.
Okay.
So I back just December 23. I back here.
Hmm.
And
23 or 23 of 2022.
Yes. I back 2022. December.
Okay.
So all right. So maybe
Okay, Dr. Bok, I can see yours.
Okay, it's working, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
I'll stop it. Thank you. Okay, I'll stop.
Dr. Bok, you are from Kean University in New Jersey?
Yeah, in New Jersey, in the United States.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you, Dr. Jeong Bok.
Nice to meet you, Dr.
Who should we call you? Dr. Bok.
Just call me Bok.
Bok. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So you originally from Japan, Dr.
No,
Jeong?
I'm from South
From
Korea.
Korea. I think
Korea.
from Korea.
All
Yeah,
right,
yeah, Korea.
Right. Great. Pleasure to meet you.
I'll stop sharing. Nice to meet you. I'll stop sharing now.
Okay.
Okay.
Dr. Sanju, would you mind to try yours?
Yeah, sure. Just let me.
Okay, it looks great.
This looks good.
Yeah, it looks good. Thank you.
Okay, welcome.
So now we will turn on this webinar is live stream on YouTube, and now we are waiting for Dr. Harry to join. Then we will turn on music, and then we can contact you once Dr. Harry is here. Okay, probably in the next 5 or 10 minutes.
Great.
So,
Thank you.
how long
Thank you.
will we have? How long will we can present?
20 minutes.
20 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, 20 minutes, and then we will continue with the question and answer. There will be, it depends on Dr. Harry, but I think he will do like this. two presenters first, because at the moment still both of you, and then after both of you present, then there will be question and answer session for 15 minutes, and then once the other two speakers join, then we will continue with the two speakers.
Okay.
If say you have another agenda after your you speak, then you can leave. That's no problem.
No problem, right?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So we'll see you in the next 10 minutes, I think, once Dr. Harry has joined.
Great.
Thank you, Dr. Sanju. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Rubo.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josie. Josie, good morning.
Josie? You still there?
Josie is not audible, I guess.
Yes, she forgot to unmute herself.
Is she on mute?
Sorry. Hello, Mr. Paul
Hi.
and Mr.
Hi,
Sanju.
Josie.
Good
Good
to see
morning.
you.
Oh, Dr. Sinja also joining.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Dr. Sinja.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Dr. Tinzat.
Is still,
Yeah,
like
still
on the way.
connecting, still connecting.
Still on the way from Myanmar to Indonesia,
Yes.
It's
So,
fun.
Dr. Adi, so just to be clear, so after our presentation and Q&A, so we are allowed to leave? Is that what you said to us?
Yes, if you have another agenda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there are 4 speakers, right?
Yeah,
So
there are 4 speakers. And
Yeah.
at the moment only, Dr. Tinsar is already here. It all actually depends on the moderator. But what we
Okay.
normally do after you speak for 20 minutes and normally two speakers speak, then we will continue with the question and answer. Oh, this is Pak Heri.
Okay.
Halo Pak Adi.
Hello, Pak Heri. How are you, Pak?
Fine.
Hello, how
Hi,
are you? Good to see you.
Pak.
Halo Po, how are you?
Good to see you.
Hello,
Thanks for the
Paheri.
invitation.
Nice
Good
to
morning.
meet you
Good
again.
morning, Paheri. Good morning, Dr. Sinjui.
Good morning, Dr. Sanju.
Yes.
Pak Heri, this is the arrangement for the speakers.
Mhm.
I said that you can do like 2 speakers first, then question and answer, or 3 speakers first, then question and answer, or directly 4 speakers. That's all up to you, Pak. And then
Wow.
I said that if the speaker already speak and then they have another agenda, then they can leave once the question and answer for them already finished. What do you think
Okay.
about that?
I think 3 first and then let's talk about question and answer.
Okay.
What?
So each speaker, I give 20 minutes, Pak.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Then
20 minutes, yeah.
yeah, 20 minutes for the speakers. Pak Heri is now already co-host. I think Dr. Tinsar, how are you? Good morning from
Good
Indonesia.
morning. Sorry for late because now my country have electricity shortage problem,
Oh.
so I cannot end
Oh.
so early because of my battery problem.
No problem. Thank you for joining, Dr. Tinsar. I think to prepare, would you mind to try your share screen, Doctor?
Yeah.
Okay. We tried Dr. Bok and Dr. Sanju.
Yes, I'm having my coffee here.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, it looks great. You can see it. Okay. Pak Heri, what time do you want to start? 7 or 7, 5 past 7, Pak?
7 is okay?
7 is okay, so another 4 minutes then.
Yes.
Bu Josie, would you mind to accept all the participants on the waiting room?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
sure. I will
Okay.
starting on second all of the participants. There is Bu Husna, also from Waseda University.
Oh, he already here? Okay.
Maybe still loading, no?
Hello.
Dr. Tinsar, would you mind to turn off your share screen, please? Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, Dr. Tiffany. How are you?
Oh, good morning. I am so sorry, my child, my baby's crying.
Good morning, Dr. Good
Sorry.
morning, Dr. Tiffany.
Dr. Tiffany, would you mind to try the share screen, please?
Hello. Okay, so hold on a minute. I think it's this one. Right. Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it looks great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Oke, Pak Heri, in 2 minutes ya, Pak. 7 o'clock ya, Pak.
Okay, yes.
2 minutes. We'll start in 2 minutes. 7 o'clock. Sharp.
Okay, who
Okay.
first and the next?
Up to you, Pak. I think according to the one who joined first, I think Dr. Bok, then Dr. Sanju, then Dr. Tinsar,
Actually,
then
related to this, Dr. Tiffany asking for the second number of
Oh, I see.
presenter.
Okay.
Is that okay?
It's okay. It's okay. Fine. I think it's okay.
I'm sorry. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Tiffany.
Yeah, I'm flexible too. If you want to go first, anyone is fine. Thank you.
Okay, so let me first, yeah, because of my computer battery problem. If my battery is already finished, I need to take another computer. So I want first.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
I think that would be great.
Okay. So Dr. Tinsar first, then Dr. Tiffany, then Dr. Bok, and Dr. Sanju.
It's okay. I agree.
That's Pak Heri?
Agree.
Yes, okay.
Okay. Now, as it's already 7, let us start ya. Start ya, Pak.
Okay.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. How are you all? A very good morning from Surabaya, Indonesia.
Morning.
Welcome to the Ubaya Global Webinar 2023, hosted by the Faculty of Business and Economics, with the topic Social Economics Update in Various Perspectives, Health, Social Enterprise, Labors, and Food Industries. My name is Aditya Jakusuma. I will be the MC for this webinar. And after I open, I will give the time to the moderator, Dr. Heri Pratono. Welcome, Dr. Heri.
Okay,
Thank you for your
Pak.
time, Dr. Heri. Also, not to forget, I also would like to thank you and welcome to the 4 speakers, Dr. Tinsar Win from University of Mandalay, Myanmar. Good morning, Dr. Tinsar.
Good morning.
Then to Dr. Sanju Kumar Singh from University of Airlangga as an international staff. Good morning, Doctor.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you.
Also to Dr. Tiffany Husna Siragar from Waseda University, Japan.
Good morning.
And last but not least is from the farthest, Dr. Bok Gyo Jeong from the Ken University in New Jersey, USA. So we are very glad that today we have speakers around the globe from Myanmar, from Dr. Sanji is actually from Nepal, yeah?
Nepal, right?
Nepal, yeah. And then from Japan, Dr. Tiffany, and the farthest is from USA, Dr. Bok Kyo-jung. I think without further ado, I now give the time for the moderator to continue and host the 4 speakers. Dr. Heri, time is yours, Pak. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Adi. We will start with Dr. Tisar, yeah.
Yes.
Good morning, Dr. Tisar.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Okay. Is it okay? We start with you.
Okay.
Okay, let's start.
Okay. Today, good morning, everyone from in all the student or the professor in this ceremony. Today, now I would like to discuss about the sugar industry in Indonesia, especially emphasize on the stochastic meter frontier analysis. Sorry. Oh, sorry. What's wrong with?
How about try
Wait, wait.
to turn off your share screen and then you turn on your share screen again. Yeah, return on.
Okay.
Hopefully it works.
Okay. Sugar production in Indonesia. Sugar production is the very strategic industry because it is need to meet the basic food needs of population of nearly 270 million, and sugar is also the raw materials for other industry and create the jobs opportunity. And sugar industry is Indonesia. It's highly regulated with tight important control and retail selling price setting. Official data from the BPS for the last 2 decades, annual growth of sugar consumption is larger than production. 2001 to 2018, sugar production increased 4%, with an average yearly consumption of 4.54 million tons. But the production just only increased by 1.01%, with an annual average production of 2.24 million. So, and then Indonesia sugar consumption reaches 6.35 million and per capita consumption is 25.8 kilogram per year in 2018. Actually, this amount is higher than the other countries such as Philippines, Vietnam, and Cambodia. In 2018, the productivity of sugarcane declined by 2.56 hectare, with the extraction rates also decreasing compared to 2017. Because the low rates of productivity and high level of demand likely influence the rise in sugar prices, according to BPS, BPS and food and beverage industry. Sugar price in the domestic was nearly 3 times the international market price. This higher price affect household and the food and beverage industry in Indonesia. In here, sugar is also the important input for the other industry. That's why sugar is very important to produce other commodity. And also, sugar industry also has the increase in the cost of imports, higher cost of fuel, and growing per capita gross domestic product also cause a rise in both prices and demand for food. Sugar mill inefficiency also is an essential aspect. It can directly affect the selling price of sugars in the domestic market. As one of the main imports operation in the sugar industry, energy efficiency is crucial factors in controlling the rise in production costs. So in here, sugarcane efficiency is also 55.9 under the variable return to scale, and 55.7 and a constant return to scale. This shows that Indonesia sugar industry has the potential to increase technically efficiency. And sugar factories are energy intensive. One way to reduce the input cost and to improve technical efficiency is to optimize energy utilization. So, Sorry, screen is. And Indonesia production and of 1 ton of sugar also take the 5.9 barrel wine equivalent. This is very high compared to the energy consumption of other country sugar industry. Increase in energy use is not only derived from the rapid structural transformation and as a result of wasteful use of energy. So inefficiency in energy use also harm the industrial sector because it is translated into a high cost of production and lower aggregate profit. That's why first increase in the cost of energy in manufacturing activities in Indonesia, resulting in the higher production cost. In the long run, the wasteful use of energy also can cause economic inefficiency through the poor allocation of resources. That's why in this discussion, this research method used in the meta-frontier production, and also there is because the meta-frontier function was we can be developed from the envelope of production point with the highest efficiency. This in here suppose that all the fan in groups can get a range of production technology, but each may select a certain technology based on particular condition. And that's why the saturation hamper the maize in some group from selecting the excellent technology from the arrangement of the potential technological set. Production technology gas is a distinction between best technology and the chosen set technology. That's why meta-frontier production describes the maximum production or maximum frontier. In the long run, this group we can improve the technology with its innovation or emulates other group with the higher technology. The technology shift has an important on the shift in the group frontier production function, and eventually in the long run period will shift the meta-frontier function upward. So this is for the meta-frontier. We have the theoretical background according to production function, spare fast energy distance function, and meta-progressive production function. Then in here, there are two hypotheses. The first one is the determinants on the energy efficiency, and the second one has on the determinants on the technological gap ratio. This is the model specification of the meta-frontier analysis. In here, can separate the two groups, East Java and the other province in Indonesia. The first one is we need to analyze the energy efficiency, the determinants of energy efficiency. In here, age, size, liver quality, percentage of capital, percentage of capital owned by government, technology gap ratio. In here, technological gap ratio is also calculated to estimate the meta-frontiers of this industry. There are also determinants on the technological gap ratio. It is finally we can calculate the meta-frontier from this equation. Actually, in here, endogenous variable, for endogenous variable, energy is used as an endogenous variable, and for the exogenous variable, gross total output, capital, labor, raw materials. And for the determinant variable, age of the fan, size, and quality of labor, price or ownership. The data, this data is used from the BBS 5-year data, and wholesale price index were calculated on the base of the BBS 2010 prices. According to the analysis, sugar in raw materials is the significant in both groups. In here, raw materials mean so the raw material need to produce in the sugar crystal, for example, sugar cane or something like this. Age is also the significant in the just only significant in group 1, and it has positive relationship with energy efficiency. According to the literature also, older the maize are less efficient in efficient use than the younger maize. Because in East Java, this is because East Java, all maize are the older maize, and then but government, they are collaborating with the state and private sector to improve the sugar industry. That's why in 2002, government invested the 8.4 million in state-owned plantation to expand land and to modernize the existing mill facility. And size of the industry, size of the fund is also a positive effect on the energy efficiency in both growth and increase in size in use energy efficiency. Ownership is not significant in this diet, but that's only government ownership is also the significant for energy efficiency. For the technological cut ratio also, in here, large fan the ability to adopt the new technology. That's why fan side is the efficient on the technology. And large and more profitable fan, they can have the financial resources need for purchasing, installing new technology, and they are also more endowed with necessary skill and other resources. Finally, large fund allow fund to quickly capture the economy of scale from production via the learning curve and can suppress other fixed costs related to the adoption of a large number of units. According to this one, according to the province and regency in the group 1, the highest energy efficiency is highest energy efficiency is in the Sutubono May, and also most of the May in other regency has and goes average energy efficiency, and their value is already above the 0.9. So we can conclude that each regency have well performance management in their energy use in the production of process, but because this is the East Java. In East Java, most of the maize are the old age and they can manage well energy efficiency according to their experience. It is the Group 2 by province and regency. In here, maize in Kelden, Central Java's province is the highest mean, and energy use in their production process by using the same input, outputs, and same technology, but in other regency, their efficiency value is not well performed in the energy use. For the mean technological ratio, they male in Pasuran, Situboto, and other Bonrowosos and Jonban had the highest value of average DGR, but the other regency has very low level of average DGR. This means because other regencies are very far away from the best technology available in this industry. And in the group 2, there is just only 3 May, this in the highest values of the DGR, and made in Syrian, Bandan Provian is the lowest DGRs and the values is 0.0003. And for the meta frontier analysis, or regency has very low levels of meta frontier. And this Sunmay has high level group every EE, but their average meta frontier is very low. For example, because in efficiency of meta frontier energy efficiency is concerned with the technology used in this group rather than their operational management within their ME. And in group 2 also, group mean EE of most of the regencies are lower and their meta frontier energy efficiency is also low. This is because and inefficiency in this group comes from the operation rather than the technology used in this group. Mean value of EE in East Java is also 0.548. This means could reduce the energy consumption up to 54.84 accurate energy consumption. And TGR in East Java is also East Java reduce energy input by another 69.84 using the same inputs, output, and best available technology. In total, East Java could reduce energy consumption by 79.98% using the meter technology. In East Java province, if all the may use their progression technology, they can only reduce energy input flow, and if they upgrade their technology, and they can reduce energy input by 69.84. If they can use the meter technology, they can reduce their energy consumption by 79.98%. In here, values of mean grew in EE are 0.2334, and other provinces need to reduce their energy inputs by 23.34. If they decrease their energy usage, their technology get and energy efficiency will also increase. In other provinces, if all the maize were use their progression technology, they can only reduce the 22.34, and they can reduce energy input by 74.94%. According to the summaries of the data and analysis, Group EE, Technology Get, Meta Frontier, show that East Java can perform better than the other provinces. For conclusion, East Java is the highest East Java Group Frontier and Meta Frontier, and other provinces every EE based on the Meta Frontier or Group Frontier. Indonesian sugar industry is at a low levels, and there is large room to save energy consumption in this industry. From the environmental factor, each of the maize has effect on the EE in East Java. Side also effect on the in both group. Ownership ties had no support on energy efficiency. Size of the may has a positive effect on DTR, but type of ownership cannot explain the DTR variation. In here, EE and Meta Frontier is less than the EOS Group Frontier in both group. This means that there is a significant technology gap between Meta Frontiers and Group Frontier. Means that all other may need to follow the advanced technology. Another reason for lowering Meta Frontier is the low levels of Group EE. So, conclusion, both provinces need to focus both in operational and progression environment to closer the Meta Frontier. In here, operationals mean most of all of them may need to focus inside under their progression process and also other environmental effects. And in conclusion, to realize energy saving in the sugar industry, government should create the opportunity for advanced technology, should invite the technology know-how from abroad, and also provide technological training. In terms of managerial aspect, it is necessary to remove the operation technology with high energy consumption in the production process. In here, most of the provinces, there is large technological gap level. So it will be a barriers on the long-run improvement of overall energy efficiency in the sugar industry. To close the this gap, policymakers should consider appropriate policy for the owners of the mill. They also need to consider their managerial environment to improve their energy efficiency, and need to replace old technology with the new one to upgrade their technology. And in the government, also need to assess the updated facility for the May in East Java and other provinces to improve energy efficiency. Government should provide an appropriate policy for 28.13 of May in East Java and 93.93 of May in other provinces. This may have efficiency score of less than 0.5 because this is the very low levels of efficiency score. And in here, skip some data, some environmental data, research and policy data, the research and development and governance policy didn't discuss in this study. Finally, and also there may be also other environmental factors. This can affect on the Meta Frontier energy and also skip in this they're scary because of time limitation and behavior limitation. Thank you so much. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Dr. Tisar, for highlighting the sugar industry. Thank you very much. Terrific. So, and then the next session is Dr. Tiffany Siregar. Welcome, Dr. Tiffany Siregar. It's your turn to share. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think I should share my screen, but I cannot. Okay. All right. So hello, everyone. Good morning. I know that it's really early in Surabaya, in Indonesia. So thank you for coming, and thank you for inviting me. Actually, I'm very happy to be here. And so today, unlike Dr. Win's presentation, which sounds very advanced and difficult, I will be just giving an overview of the Indonesian labor market. So I hope it's okay. As I see the participants, I think most of them are students, right? Judging from their numbers, which I think maybe is a student number. But anyway, so please call me Tiffany or Musna, whichever is easier for you. And currently I'm an assistant professor at the Political Science and Economics, Waseda University. And I just got my PhD last year, actually, so I'm fairly new. So please forgive me if my presentation is not really clear. Okay, so as I said earlier, today I will be talking mostly about the Indonesian labor market, what it's like, how COVID affected the labor market. And at the end, if time permits, I will talk a bit about one of my ongoing projects, which is on regional unemployment rates. Okay, so currently more than 68%, almost 70% of Indonesia's working age population is active in the labor force. So working age population is defined as those who are aged 15 years old or older, and active in the labor force is defined as those who are employed, who are working, and those who are unemployed, so those who are not working but wish to work, so they are looking for work. And as we can see here on this bar chart, there has been a slight slowdown during the pandemic, but it is on the way to recovery. And according to the ADB, actually, a lot of them who got unemployed or new entrants to the labor market who failed to get employment, they not all of them become unemployed, but some of them exit the labor market, so they just stop looking for work. And this is part of the employment rate. So we can see here, employment rate also fell during 2020, which is the peak of the pandemic. And it is on the way to recovery as we saw earlier, but the level is still pre-COVID levels. And as you can see, I forgot to highlight, but Indonesia, as you know, is huge. We have a lot of population, and the number of people employed reached almost 140 million people. And this is those employed divided by the sectors that they are working in. And we can see here on this chart that most of the workers in Indonesia, almost 30% actually, is employed in the agriculture sector, followed by retail, and then manufacturing, and all the remaining sectors are below that. And on this chart here, on the right-hand side, you can see that before the pandemic, the share of employment in agriculture has actually gone down, and manufacturing, which is shown by the blue, agriculture is blue and manufacturing is gray, was increasing. But after the pandemic and during the pandemic, it switched. So employment in agriculture increased while manufacturing decreased. And so COVID-19, the sectors that were mostly hardly hit, with those that are affected by supply chain disruptions, maybe like manufacture, those that are affected by mobility and travel restrictions, like trade, restaurants, those kinds of retail trades, and those that had limited possibilities of telework. So there's those that cannot work from home. And based on occupational status. So before we saw the employment divided by sector, now we're looking at charts that divide employment by statuses. So for those of you who are not aware of how the BPS, so the Indonesian statistics, they conduct labor force survey, or Sakernas, which we know, and they divide workers' statuses into seven status. First is employee or buruh, those are, which is defined as those who receive payment. They receive payment, they sign a contract, they receive payment on a monthly wage or weekly or daily or whatever. But these are buruh, and they account for most of the workers in Indonesia. And then after that, you have unpaid workers and own account workers, terms of freelancers, and those kinds of works, agriculture and non-agriculture worker. And finally, employers assisted by permanent or paid workers, so like businessmen who employ workers. And then BPS, they further divide these workers to formal sector workers and informal sector workers. Simply put, formal sector workers consist of employees, so people who are paid employees, and employers assisted by permanent or paid workers. And the informal sector are the remaining statuses. And what I want us to focus on this slide here is that we can see that during the pandemic here, the informal rate, the rate of workers who are employed in the informal sector has gone up, and the rate of workers who are employed in the formal sector has gone down. And this is actually something that is very usual in developing countries like in Indonesia. We also saw this for the 97-98 Asian financial crisis, and we see this also in other countries, other developing countries. And this is because being unemployed in a country like Indonesia can be considered as a luxury. We don't have unemployment benefits, unlike here where I live in Japan. Those who are unemployed, they can report to the government and then they can receive assistance. But in Indonesia, we don't have that. So, and people still need to eat, right? So they try to find other work, even though it's not as good, as comfortable, as good in the terms of payment, but they still need to work. So a lot of them resort to informal work, and as we saw earlier, some of them actually exit the labor markets. And as I will show you next, those are usually female workers or women. And this shift from formal work to informal work, although it doesn't completely raise the number of unemployed, but the quality of work has gone down in general. And informal workers, they account for the majority of workers in Indonesia, but they are often overlooked by government assistance. So that is something that should be, that is our homework for the future. Okay, so next here, I show workers by educational attainment. And so this pie chart here, it shows that almost more than half of workers actually are middle school graduates or below that. So 38% are only those who have completed primary school or not even have gone to school. And that is a huge portion of our labor force. And this line chart here, it shows that although employment has shown recovery, right, especially for a college or degree holders, high school, okay, it's going up. But as we can see here, workers with who are less educated, they are facing a harder time. Their recovery for them has been sluggish compared to those who are highly educated. And this is actually very unfortunate because these low workers, not only do they account for a majority of our workforce, but they are also more vulnerable, meaning that when crisis hits, they are usually the first to be let go. And they are mostly employed in the informal sector, as we see here, and informal jobs, as I said earlier, they're not as comfortable, not as good in terms of payment than the formal sector. So yeah, this is something which must be improved going forward. And here I show that there's been a disproportionate effects of COVID for female workers compared to male workers. and also youths compared to those who are older. We can see here, for example. So female youths are more likely to, female workers are more likely to exit the labor force compared to male workers. And this is something that is observed in a lot of countries. So according to the ILO, women who lost their jobs during COVID, they are more likely to exit the labor force because we as women are usually, we have a bigger burden to take care of others if they get sick, to take care of, you know, unpaid household labor. We all know it's labor, doing the dishes and everything. It's hiring, but this is what this is the reality for women, and it is reflected in this data. But interestingly, according to ADB, females are also more likely to enter the labor market after, you know, when COVID has, the number of cases has gone down. But their entrance is usually to the informal sector and not the formal sector. Okay, so before I was talking about employment, and now I want to talk a bit about unemployment rate. And as we could have guessed, unemployment rate jumped, and it's a pretty big jump in terms of percentage points and also in terms of absolute number of workers. And as we talked earlier, of course, those who are less educated are also, they have a slower recovery. You can see the line is pretty flat compared to unemployment rates for higher educated workers. And if we take this at face value, it might seem that higher educated workers, they face actually a higher unemployment rate. But this is because we are selective as highly educated people. We don't want to work for the informal sector, right? And the formal sector, they typically have a longer recruiting period. So these are just queuing unemployment. And as I said earlier, less skilled workers are more vulnerable. As you can see here, out of all the net job losses during COVID, most of them are for less skilled type of jobs. And in the long run, these types of jobs here, this light green one, which is like agricultural workers or just simple jobs, they might be affected by automation, which I have read some papers and some scholars believe that the COVID pandemic actually is accelerating the automation process. And so unemployment was bad enough, but we must not forget that there are people who wish to work more hours. So those who are working less than 35 hours, they can be unemployed, or they can be, or they can be part-time workers. And as we saw earlier, unemployed increased, but also underemployment also increased. So here, this chart shows that in 2020, the orange bar suddenly got really big compared to 2019. So these are workers who work less than 35 hours per week. And wages also took a hit during the pandemic. You can see the trends, they all go down in 2020. And these three lines, these are mining and banking, and the green one is information communication. These are the highest sectors, highest paying sectors in Indonesia, but only a fraction of people are employed there. And where people are mostly employed is actually the agricultural sector, and the wages are low, and you know, all these other low wages here, they are where people are mostly employed, and they are not being paid well compared to these three lines up there. Okay, and before I talked about workers divided by sectors, gender, and so on, now I talk about a regional labor market. So Indonesia is big, as I'm sure you all know, and the labor markets are different across regions. And here I drew a map of Indonesia, and I show that mostly for formal sector is big here, right? So we all know this is West Java, Jakarta, Banten is here, and people are mostly employed in the formal sector, Surabaya is here. And informal sector is big in outer islands. So the darker shade is the higher share. Also, we see spatial variation in regional unemployment rate. So unemployment rate is also high in West Java, Jakarta, and Banten, and also underemployment. Sorry. And here, I thought this is a bit technical, but I show here that there are clusters of unemployment. So, and the spatiality is higher if we zoom in. So this is, I use 2022 provincial level data here. I am so sorry, but my baby is crying.
Okay, you might take a break for a while. It's no problem. You might take a break for a while.
I'm almost done. It's okay.
All right.
Okay, and so you can see the red part here is where there's cluster of high unemployment rates. So in West Java and Banten and Jakarta, they all have high unemployment rate. So that's why they are red. And same goes for underemployment. And for the bottom map, I use district level data. Can you please give me a minute? Okay, I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
Saya mau
Oh, hello. It's
Sorry.
okay, Miss
Yes.
Bu Tiffany. I will give some announcement to the other participants first. So everyone, if there are any question related to Dr. Tinzer or Dr. Tiffany presentation or materi, you can just raise your hand in the Q&A section or just write your chat into. So when the Q&A section was held, it is easier for us to, or maybe for the presenter to answer your question. You can start write your question starting from now. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry again, females, we have a bigger burden of domestic
No problem.
chores. Okay, so yeah, here what I'm trying to say in this slide is that labor markets are spatially connected. And what does that mean? It means that I focus specifically on unemployment rates here, but I also analyze for employment, formal and informal. So you can ask me about that later because we have limited time. But what I'm trying to say here is that unemployment rate in a city, let's say where I'm from Bogor, it affects unemployment rates in neighboring cities, right? So like in Jakarta or in Banten or in Bandung. And by neighbor, so I define neighbor as cities, kabupaten kota that share a border. So you can see they are spatial dependent, so they affect each other. And yeah, as I said earlier, not only do they affect each other, but also they move in a similar manner. So we can see here there are peaks and valleys, right? So when one goes down, they all move in a similar manner. So maybe I ask, well, a lot of scientists, we ask ourselves, what affects unemployment rates to behave this way? Why do they move in a similar manner? And so there is a common factor, which is a term that is widely used that affects unemployment rate. And you can see here there is variation. So although they move in a similar manner, the levels are different. So for example, you can see there's this huge jump, right? I want us to look at this light blue line. Usually this line represents Bali. So low unemployment rates, and then suddenly, whoop, it goes up in 2020 because we know COVID, we were not allowed to go anywhere, and Bali is very dependent on tourism, and so unemployment rate went up. So what I'm just trying to say here is that although unemployment rates move in a similar manner, but there are variations according by the geography, by the regions. And this is very preliminary, but my colleague, so Mendes, Carlos Mendes, of professor at Nagoya University, and we try to see to this what provinces are most sensitive to shocks or for unemployment rate, and we find that Banten and Jakarta are the most sensitive, and NTT or East Nusa Tenggara and Kalimantan is least sensitive, but this is very preliminary, so maybe the results will change. And our other findings are also, as I said earlier, they're serial dependent, meaning that past unemployment rates, maybe unemployment in last year, is found to affect unemployment rates this year. And this year's unemployment rate is found, it will affect unemployment rate next year. So that's serially dependent. And unemployment rates are also spatially dependent, as I told you earlier. So one region's unemployment rate affects neighboring regions. And so that is the end of my presentation, but the main takeaways is that the Indonesian labor market was hardly hit by the pandemic, but as of this year, we are seeing signs of recovery, actually from last year. And the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic is very disproportionate on females and our less educated workers and on informal sector workers. And we also see that there is heterogeneity or the differences of variation in regional labor markets. And although most studies of labor markets have taken into account serial dependence or time dependence, as I said earlier, but only very few are taking into account spatial dependence and also common factors. And that is our homework as labor scientists or as economists going forward. And also because a lot of students are here, I want you to also, if you may learn a thing or two, this is something that hopefully you can learn from my presentation today. All right, that's all from me. I'm sorry for my baby crying, but yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Tiffany, for demonstrating how female workers have to deal with multitasking job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyway, your presentation remind me about David Chart, the Nobel laureates in 2021. Okay, we will discuss later. The next will be Dr. Po Kyu-jung from King University. Welcome, Dr. Po.
Thank you. I'll share my screen. So hello everyone. Good morning, Indonesia, and also in Japan, close to mid noon, and here in the US in the evening. So thank you for the invitation, and to Dr. Harry Pratono and also everyone in Indonesia. So my name is Bok Jung, Associate Professor in New Jersey at King University in the United States. So today's topic will cover on the woman leadership in social enterprise in the African cases. So my research area usually covers nonprofit management and social enterprise, social entrepreneurship. And so I'm looking at more comparative perspective on social enterprise and entrepreneurship. So this study is based on my field work with my another faculty and my colleague at Kane University, Sarah Compion, and also two students from Kane University. We did field trip in 2018. So this is from that field work. So without further ado, I'll start my presentation. So I'll start with the motivation, how the study started, and also research question, and overviewing literature review, and then jump over to methodology and provide the overall landscape of social enterprises in Africa, and also case studies of five social enterprises in Africa led by women. And also we will draw findings and implications. These are exploratory studies and also qualitative case studies. So you will see some kind of more contextual information I can provide. So this is a kind of example of what I do in research and practices in the US and globally. So I do research, of course, in social enterprise, but I practically hands-on experience engaging in the field. For example, on the left side, on the up, actually, one of the nonprofit and fundraising we are doing is actually engaging with microfinancing in Africa and Uganda. So we provide certificate for those who microfinance the family business. So this is one of their certificate ceremony. On the right side, I'm doing in New Jersey in the US. We are bringing actually social enterprise owners every month at the beginning. Actually, they share their business new startups, and then we provide some feedback and advice. That's what we are engaging here in local and globally. So how my study started. Actually, trace back to when I finished my doctoral dissertation about 10 years ago, and actually studied in Pittsburgh, connecting with one founder of a social enterprise in Uganda. So it's called Breakage Uganda. So that connection led me to interested in this woman-led founded social enterprises. So it's a long story, but that actually continues until now. I get engaged in scholarly and also practitioner work. So this is a recent big picture from fieldwork when I went to South Africa with my colleague Sarah Compion and also 2 students from my MPA program and global studies. And we did the fieldwork with social enterprises and also interviews and getting insights from them. So these are motivations. So based on our observation of the literature review, there are lack of literature on African social enterprises, and there are for many reasons, and also because they are global South, the contextual information is very limited. And we want to know more about the woman-led leadership and how they affect actually social equity perspective. And also there are a lot of different framework of social enterprise, but there are not many comprehensive framework actually applied in social enterprise other than economic dimension. So this is a more comprehensive dimension using applying economic, social, and governance dimensions. So these are research questions I came up with and actually applied and used in this study. What kinds of social enterprise actually in Africa and actually existing and led by women? And also if we use the dimensions of economic, social, and governance dimensions, how can apply these to that cases? And also what aspects actually will be more unique for the woman-led social enterprises in Africa? So these are literatures because time is very limited. I'll skip this one. So I just want to show the lack of a current literature gap, what this study can contribute. So I want to skip this literature review part. There are a lot of slides I want included, but I want to spend more time in the literature results section. So these actually all those comparative perspective literatures and more African focused social enterprise research and studies. And also these are woman-led social enterprise literature. And also, this is about the framework, applying those social enterprise to global framework. And these are definitions in our social enterprise. There are many definitions that exist. There are variety, heterogeneous framework, but in this study, we want to use a more comprehensive and that can applicable for a comparative study. That's why we use this framework using enterprise and actor and logics of action and resources framework. It brings those 3 triangle models, state and community and market, based on where they could do those resources and how those actors actually move and actually act based on their logics. But further detailed, maybe if we have any more time, we can discuss further, but I'll just keep this more details. And these actually theoretical framework are used actually allocating and assigning those social enterprise within this triangular model and adopted from Defoni and Nissen, and actually they provide different hybrid type of social enterprises. I know it model itself requires at least an hour to introduce and to explain it, but I just want to skip this time at this time. Maybe I'll spend more time explaining my results section. And these actually dimensions of social enterprise, economic and social and participatory governance dimension, these key characteristics were used in analyzing those 5 cases. About economic dimension includes the economic activity, selling and producing goods and services, and also the level of economic risk, and also amount of paid workers in the organization. And social dimension includes the benefit to the community and overall social benefits, and also about the citizen and civil organization engagement, and also limited profit distribution, as you see from the nonprofit definition, limitedly applied in this case. And participatory governance dimension means about the autonomy and also limited application of capital ownership and versus more democratic application of power and decision making, and also participatory nature of stakeholders. So these are used in the 3 dimensions and also used in my measurement in this study. And social innovation, actually literature was included in this study too, in looking at the public policy and philosophic foundation and also education piece. So these are methods used in this study. Mixed method used qualitative study in this case study, looking at those 5 cases, and that use interviews and focus group interviews and on-site field observation. And 2018 and also 2004 and 2016 supplementary fieldwork from the former interviews. And we use the documentary, the website, and also financial report and annual report as a supplementary documents. And quantitative survey part, we use the green fellowship, echoing green fellowship data, and because geographically it covers African continent, and also it represents the social entrepreneurship in terms of proximity to local community and addressing social problem, and also quite sizable in terms of financial and geographical, temporal, and spatial aspects. So these are cases we selected in this study. We selected by geographically purposely sampling, one South Africa, in the middle and south in Zambia, and also in eastern Uganda. So in each country, we selected either 2 or 1 nonprofit social enterprises, and also equally and mainly commonly mission focused on vulnerable children and social economically marginalized community and a woman empowerment purposes. So we found this a common social enterprise, and actually we can compare. So these are from the fieldwork 2018 from Leslie Rabato, and this shows actually the woman, they are using those used bags and create these bags and selling as a social enterprise revenue income generation. And these are heartfelt projects. They are using the felt in out of those clothes. They are actually making decorations and sell in globally using a lot of global chains and also corporations. They actually building the new factory out of success. They are hiring 15 women workers in their factory, and that increases women empowerment in South Africa. And this is Chikambuso from Zambia, and I visited there, and they do using social cooperative model, and also they're using community center model, and based on the woman actually from the HIV, the infected woman, and also their children attending their school, and they do the creating those the bags, and also they provide the shelter for the girls and also senior citizens for their protection. And this is another case from Free Zambia, and they do creating those silversmiths out of copper, which is widely used in that area, which is they are recycling, upscaling, and they're providing these decorations. And this is very interesting because they are breaking these gender stereotyped job categories. They're doing a lot of using those hammer, and also there are a lot of factory the tools to produce this out of this copper into jewelries. So actually, the founder is actually one of my alum from University of Pittsburgh, and I was able to connect her through this field work. And this is actually Brightcase Uganda. I've been working with Brightcase Uganda for the last 10 years since I was in Pittsburgh, and that shows a lot of their social entrepreneurial business models, and they adapted in the small center and also providing services, child and healthcare. And they do a lot of farming and also bed and breakfast, and also they do ecotourism. A lot of actually cases, they're adopting the source income generation model. So these are actually cases, and I will move to the landscape analysis. And that shows that from this Echoing Green Fellowship data set, this is based on the Echoing Green Fellowship. It itself does not exactly show full social enterprise, but this is proxy to show social enterprise in Africa, because there is no single data set that showed social enterprise in Africa. But based on the characteristics criteria to select these fellows, I consider that this one as a proxy to show the size and also characteristics of social enterprise in Africa. Well, if you see the by continent, North America is the largest, that include, of course, in the US and Canada, and also Mexico and some countries. And of Africa is the second largest out of the proportion in this fellowship. So if you just select only Africa only, if you see the gender gap is huge. So male is 67%, close to 70%, which is a way bigger gap than other average point of in the global worldwide. Worldwide, male got 55% and female 45%, whereas in Africa, the gap is huge, a lot more significant. This is only looking at Africa and then looking at only woman-led social enterprises. And in this case, you see in the racial-wise, it's not surprising that most of them are African or African-American in the African continent, or some other the racial categories are applied to. And the women leaders, if you look at their age group, quite evenly allocated, assigned across those age groups. And the population, if you look at the share where which serving population they are serving, you see the large group is women girls because they are empowering women, and the supporting group using the bonding social capital. And they also support economically disadvantaged population group and also general population overall. And the youth group is one of the actually beneficiaries in this group too. And if you see the operation focus, you see some national is largest, so not surprisingly, but actually local international is equally around 1 out of 4. If you look at organizational structure, you see the nonprofit charitable is the largest. So that's why a lot of nonprofits and also use this social enterprise model in terms of income generation. But for-profit organizations like the Heartfelt, they are actually registered as business model. So there are different variations in terms of how they register legally, but a lot actually is a hybrid. Hybridity is one of the big themes in literature and theory these days. You see a lot use actually multiple categories of their characteristics. And the program area see different variations across different area. Education and also the poverty is actually one of the biggest, largest one. So these are analysis, but I want to skip that to see more implication section at the end. These are actually analysis we found from social enterprise type, what types are existing across those 5 cases. And the legal types, we looked at faith-based the connection. We looked at scale and size of beneficiary groups, and we looked at diversity of the benefit groups in composition. And these come down to this social dimension in terms of their mission and beneficiary group size and also composition, and those 5 cases. And we also analyze the revenue stream, where they would get those money from, and also how they started in their target market and when they produce and also a benefit to members and also customers. And this is governance dimension. We looked at leadership, number of board, and also gender, male, female, and race categories. And then we also looked at the mix of internal and local board members composition across these 5 social enterprises. But again, I know I have a limited time. I usually use this this slide about an hour presentation. This is only 20, so I'm just skipping everyone. But this is actually kind of a synthesis table to show the social enterprise dimensions of economic and social participatory governance dimension. Look, if you see the Lessedo Rabato and Heartfelt, and Chikumbuso and Free Zambia and Breakage Uganda, you see the Lessedo Rabato actually using social cooperative models, but actually using nonprofit center model. So in their economic model is relatively, is not that high compared to Heartfelt. Heartfelt is using more social business model, is a lot higher, more economic benefits, and also economic the higher, more paid employees is more close to social business model. Whereas Free Zambia is also very high social business model, but Breakage Uganda is typical nonprofit for entrepreneurial nonprofit model from our model in the theoretical framework. If you look at social dimension, you see those nonprofit-based enterprises, Breakage Uganda and Lesedi Rabato, show a high level of social dimension, whereas the Heartfelt and Free Zambia in the medium level. But Chikumbuso is very interesting too. It's mixing with the social co-op in a nonprofit model, but they show a high level of social mission and mission, which is hybrid nature. This is very interesting to see how the hybridity affects the social enterprises. And the last dimension of participatory governance dimension, if you see here, see those core model, Chikumbutsu actually showed very high level across those three elements, whereas nonprofit-based model or the economic, social, business-based model is a lower level of participatory governance dimensions. Okay. So anyway, so those actually lead to findings and limit findings implications. I'll be shortly summarize this one. We found that this legal structure is actually very important. Sometimes nonprofit and social enterprise owners use this legal framework for hybrid nature creation. So that's what we led to hybridity, the benefits, the advantage, and we found that work integration level is actually widely adopted throughout this across these 5 cases. And we also looked at social capital of the founders is very unique and very influential, very impactful. And when we see those founders, what kind of link they have in the locally or globally, and also in terms of their area, and also in terms of male, female, politician, profession, there are different types of social capital was used by those founders. The faith-based connection was very important finding from this study, and looked at a lot of actually nonprofits that actually founders linking with a church-based link, or their founders or donors actually located in the globally, but they are connected to certain faith-based partners. And social mission commitment across the social enterprises, either regardless of social business model or nonprofit model or social co-op model, is commonly found by the social woman-led social enterprises. And also equally and commonly found by those social enterprises or work integration models. And board using trait was a very interesting finding, because you see those founders actually use and mobilizes those different types of board member, their backgrounds. So, but at the same time, they strategically use those board members. But at the same time, we still found that that's also the participatory governance model. So it's a mix of strategic use and participatory governance model. And social innovation was actually commonly found, but actually depending on their legal structure, sometimes they use traditional model of a nonprofit versus more innovative model. There are some variations. And then lastly, the state and transnational actors was a very interesting finding. Why? Because a lot of actually nonprofit and social enterprise found in these cases, their lack of state presence, state policy involvement was lacking, but actually that was replaced it complementary role taken by these transnational actors. When I said transnational means there are international NGOs located in South Africa and Zambia and Uganda. They do a lot of significant roles in these African countries. And also not that large scale, big international NGOs. There are small scale international nonprofits like Asa Social Fund, of which I'm the board member in the US. They are small nonprofits, but they're transitionally working on social enterprises, helping those social enterprises in Africa. So we see a lot of transnational interactions. Now, a lot of international multinational corporations located in the US and global north, they are actually providing some helps, including consulting benefits, including also tax, including also IT technology support, in addition to financial support. So that's why it's complementary nature of lack of presence in the African continents and combined and helped by these transnational actors in other countries and continents. These are implications, but I will skip this one. I think I sufficiently mentioned it several times, implications, but also limitations, because this is not causal study, but it's based on exploratory study, but also representativeness cases is purposefully sampling that doesn't represent all social enterprises. And also landscape analysis itself is proxy level social enterprise, not full list of social enterprise at this stage. So you need more large scale study at some point as a follow-up study. But thank you for your attention. I will look forward to your feedback if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Po, for the comprehensive presentations. Thank you very much. So the next will be Dr. Sanju Kumar. Dr. Sanju Kumar, you will come, please. Dr. Sanju, are you around?
Yes, yes, I'm here.
All right.
Thank you. Can I share the screen?
Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
Well, my concentration is fine enough. I just try to, uh, you know, what is called, try to manage with the health issues, try to address some health issues with the finance. So that's how it is. Well, is health finance being important for us? This is the questions to all of us, especially that after COVID-19, we are facing. This is the big challenges that what is called, you know, how the situations like, get a turmoil regarding health issues in health finance, basically health finance. We have seen that in during COVID-19, a lot of people get, disrupted their economies and, also their personal income and all other things is, very much was like, devastating. So, and I come with this concept that I think we should think about health finance, that we can able to manage, or we can able to our personal life as well as professional life too. And I think health finance can strengthen the what is called strengthen the well human being healthy, what we can say, good health as well as your good finance too. So I'm going to share some video here that maybe it's let me. This is the G20 of Indonesia that they address about health finance issues.
Today, we have the opportunity to discuss the achievements.
Excuse me, Dr. Sanju. We still can't see the YouTube.
Oh, you cannot see?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I think let me. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Now can see?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, sorry. Okay, this is the video of G20 that they try to address about like health issues, health related to finance. So it is addressed by Dr. Sri Mulyani. He's the Minister of Finance of Indonesia.
Excuse me, doctor. We can see, but we can hear the video voice.
Today, we have the opportunity to discuss the achievements we have collectively made this year to reform the global health architecture, as well as how we should focus our future effort.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to congratulate each of you for making this pandemic fund possible. It is a pinnacle not only of the hard work and dedications, but also the humanity in each of us. The humanity to make a difference and build a better world for our children and our great-grandchildren.
All right, so this is what G20. All of we have seen in that was it was conducted in Bali, I think last 2-3 months ago, and they also Dr. Sri Mulani also focused about health infrastructure. It means that they are trying to focus how to make Indonesia healthy, and all over the world makes healthy, So this is what also we need to understand about the health finance concept through these videos. As well, I'm going to play, we have another short video that might be addressed very well. Let me this one as well. And then we'll move for the related topic.
Hi, my name is Andrew Lowe.
My YouTube is audible. Could you see the YouTube?
And I want to welcome you to 15482 Healthcare.
Miss Josie?
Yes.
Yes, can
Yeah.
you see the YouTube? Is this?
Yeah, we
Yes,
can hear it.
sure. Very clearly.
Okay, all right.
Finance. Now, you might be wondering, my name is Andrew Lowe, and
Let's
I want to
enjoy the
welcome
video.
you to 15482 Healthcare Finance. Now, you might be wondering exactly what is healthcare finance. So let me start by telling you a personal story. A few years ago, a number of friends and my mother were dealing with various kinds of cancer, and in my mother's case, the standard treatments weren't working. So a friend of a friend introduced me to a very successful biotech company that was developing a number of new cancer drugs, including one that might help her. I was privileged to meet the chief scientific officer of the company, brought along his chief financial officer, because I guess he was told that I was a finance professor, and he thought he might be a good translator. During the course of our meeting, I asked what I thought was an innocent question. I asked them whether their sources of financing had any influence on their scientific agenda. As you can imagine, I was very interested in how they prioritize their agenda, since one of the projects was related to the kind of cancer my mother was battling. I'll never forget his answer to my question. The chief scientific officer shook his head, looked at his CFO ironically, and then turned back to me and said, influence? Our financing drives our scientific agenda. Now, I'm an economist, so I do get it. You have to pay for stuff. But as the son of a dying cancer patient, I was absolutely shocked and outraged. What do interest rates, stock market volatility, and Fed policy have to do with whether you should treat cancer via angiogenesis inhibitors, immunotherapy, or radiation? Nothing. And yet it drives their scientific agenda. Now, I'm no biomedical expert by any means, but should the science be driving the financing instead of the other way around? Well, that's what this course is about. That incident convinced me that finance actually plays a huge role in healthcare, particularly in the drug development process. One of the things that I learned early on is that this process suffers from a triple whammy of challenges. Number one, it takes a long time to develop a successful cancer drug, in some cases 10 and 15 years. Two, it costs a huge amount of money, on the order of hundreds of millions to billions of dollars per drug. And three, the chances of failure are extremely high, especially in oncology. This trifecta of challenges means that investors aren't going to be as keen to invest their capital in this process, especially when there are more attractive investment opportunities in other industries. But here's where healthcare finance comes in. What if we use the tools of modern financial engineering to reduce the risk and increase the rewards of biomedical investing? We do this all the time in other industries and contexts. For example, if you have any kind of savings or retirement account, you're probably holding some of your assets in an index fund, which is a portfolio that contains literally hundreds of stocks, like those in the S&P 500. If you do invest in such a fund, congratulations. You've taken advantage of one of the most basic and important ideas of modern finance, diversifying your investments across a large number of stocks instead of trying to pick one or two winners. Well, the same approach can be applied to drug development projects on a massive scale, and the same kind of financial benefits should emerge. And if we use all the other tricks of the financial trade, portfolio optimization, collateralized debt obligations, credit default swaps, and derivative securities, we can attract much larger amounts of funding to develop the miracle drugs that desperate patients are waiting for. Now, you might be scratching your head right now and wondering, really? Is this really wise? After all, didn't these tools figure prominently in the financial crisis of 2008? Well, I have to tell you that it was studying the financial crisis that started my thinking along these lines. The financial crisis didn't happen because these tools didn't work. It happened because these tools worked way too well, channeling tremendous amounts of money in a relatively short period of time into US residential real estate. In fact, Warren Buffett called some of these tools financial weapons of mass destruction. And you know, he had a point. There's tremendous power locked up in global capital markets. And when that power is unleashed carelessly and irresponsibly, financial engineering can cause great devastation and disruption, with fallout that can linger for years. But the analogy cuts both ways. When powerful tools are used carefully and responsibly, financial engineering can provide virtually unlimited resources to fuel innovation and economic growth for generations to come. The more you know about finance, the greater the chances are that you will be able to use these techniques properly, responsibly, effectively, and ethically. That's why my colleagues and I at MIT created 1542 and this online course. Over the next few weeks, we're going to cover financial concepts like portfolio theory, cost of capital estimation, capital budgeting, real option analysis, securitization, and machine learning, all apply to specific challenges and opportunities in the biotech and pharmaceutical industries. If you're a business student looking to make a career in the healthcare industry, or if you're a scientist looking to commercialize some of your research, or if you're just interested in how finance can make a real difference in people's lives, this course is for you. Biomedicine is at an inflection point today. Thanks to the amazing dedication and creativity of tens of thousands of scientists, engineers, clinicians, business professionals, investors, regulators, and patients, we are now curing diseases that were fatal just a few years ago. But this inflection point won't be sustainable unless biomedical experts collaborate with financial experts to come up with equally creative business models and funding structures. Now, I know that talking about rates of return, profits and losses in the same breath as life and death issues like cancer may seem really offensive and obscene. My mother died of cancer, so I get it. But if we don't deal with these financial challenges, we're not going to get the resources we need to deal with these terrible diseases. Finance doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. We don't let it. And using the financial tools covered in this course, we can do well by doing good, and we can do it now. Thank you for joining me on this mission, and I look forward to working with you in the coming weeks.
All right, I back to the topic. So, well, it is pretty clear. I hope that it's become more clear that how health finance is emerging these days, this current age, current time, since COVID is outbreak happened, that we almost all sector get disrupted, disrupted, even the health sector and all the industrial sector. At that time, we really realize that health finance, if we are like, that's the professor from MIT told that in his speech that, this is the one of the very powerful, the engineering, that if we could make it happen, that would be the wonderful, and we also realize that health finance is become so significant for all of us, and we should start, to thinking about this direction for further, not only Indonesia and all over the world, that even G20 also address these issues, and United Nations, of course, they have sustainable goals, and one of the goals is also about the health finance as well. So let's that is something about general things about finance. I just try to connect with the finance with the health. So let's see here what when you think about health finance. So first, we need to go with some common things, what is called definition of finance, and then we can also like add furthermore. Finance is a common subject that we study in the school, college, university as well. Of course, this is very common subject. Generally terms, finance means that financial managers apply financial statement and analysis to invest for generating profit. So finance area is broad, and it can apply in various sectors from personal life to professional life. Especially after COVID-19 outbreak, the importance of health finance become more popular around the world. During COVID-19, many countries failed to provide financial support for treatment and necessities like food and clothes and etc. So it is pretty much clear that without finance support, any sector can be disrupted, and this is the a challenge for us to address these issues. So for the delaying, I'm going to next the slides. According to the BAPAT 2020, individuals with a positive financial behavior such as skipping budgets, saving, avoiding risk financial decisions, controlling their expenses, and avoiding or giving into compulsive buying have high financial well-being. Health financing entails how financial resources are mobilized, pooled, and utilized to maintain and improve facility operation and ultimately improve the health outcomes. Health financing is linked closely with financial management. Good financial management support health organization in achieving their objectives. So next is this is the addressing health finance, addressing these problems is how we can address these issues. Establish, create new resources for generating revenue for health services. Choose a specific area sites for collection of revenues. Establish, create new resources of funding, financial mechanism. Identify and closely monitor revenue from the various sources. Properly fill and submit timely claim to various insurance and scheme. Okay, why is not moving there? Okay, next is obtain and use key financial policies, law, regulation, and guidelines. Orient to train healthy staff on key financial policies, laws, regulation, and guidelines. Manage and monitor exemptions at health facilities in line with the national health policy and guidelines. Applying health finance help to support toward health life and financially sounds. Our surroundings, we can see healthy people, and that is the way toward quality of life. So well, thank you. Terima kasih. This is all from my side.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sanju, for highlighting some essential issue in health finance. Okay. So we will start from Dr. Tisa. Dr. Tisa.
For this question, yeah, actually, this also the one factor we need to consider about to decrease the direct debt, because according to my another study, I also have the study about the how we can manage the diabetes and obesity in Indonesia. But in this study also indicate that because of the people eating so much sugars and some fast food, this can causes the diabetes and obesity. But now in this analysis, I only focus on the production process and how to achieve the efficiency in sugar industry. But very strange in here that in Indonesia, even though the price increased by year and year, but the consumption of sugar didn't decrease. In here, I skip the price and consumption related in here because it is just I just want to focus on the efficiency and how to gain and how to manage the efficiency of the fare. So I skip about the price and consumption relation. But in another part of my analysis, in here, price also increased by years by year, but the consumption didn't decrease. That's why we also trying to point out that need to be, even though price is not matter for the Indonesian people, we just only need to give them the awareness or knowledge about the eating of more sugars or something to decrease their diabetes. Yeah, that's my answer.
Thank you very much. Turning to Dr. Tiffany. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm wondering about partial unemployment. It's interesting. So, what do you think? I noticed that the special unemployment rates is. Do you think it's related to debit card theory?
Yes, so thank you for a very good question. So first of all, I would like to say that I tried to keep my presentation earlier really simple because I thought a lot of undergrads will be watching. But to answer your question, it's going to be a bit technical. So my dissertation is actually on minimum wages, and David Card is his minimum wage paper was very famous, and he also said about the dependence between labor markets, right? And to address that, what they did, which led him to winning the Nobel Prize, one of them was develop the differences methodology, because they are these labor markets, they influence each other, and you need to take into account in order to be able to say that's the causality side. So what does minimum wages increase or decrease employment? So that was the question. And because they are spatially related, he took one labor market and compare it to another labor. I'm sure you know the differences, but for students here, so he tried to eliminate the dependence. That's what I'm trying to say. He tried to take two really similar labor markets and then compare them and say that, you know, I already controlled for the dependence and the spatial dependence, and so he can answer that minimum wages does not cause a decrease in employment. So that's what his main finding was. And for Indonesia, unfortunately, we cannot use that methodology to control for spatial dependence, because minimum wages, how it affects employment, and on the other side of the coin is unemployment, is set at the same time every year. So the government usually announces it in November and it comes into effect in January. So I cannot find a counterfactual for the labor market that I wish to analyze. And so that's what led me to use a spatial econometrics method to control for the spatial dependence. So in short, to answer your question, yes, I am very much influenced by Professor Card, because I also work on labor. He's also a labor economist, and I also recognize that labor markets are dependent, which I also learned from him indirectly through his papers and through his talks. But the way we analyze the methods that we use are different because I cannot adopt his methodology for the Indonesian case. So that's my answer.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Po.
So thank you for the great question, Dr. Harry Portono. That's a very important point you made in your comments. First of all, the male and female comparison, my study was not able to fully compare quantitatively in terms of which is more prevalent. But what I see from the actually proxy from Echoing Green, the quantitatively women social enterprises, we cannot say there are more, but it's more about actually the aspects and their focus of a woman-led social enterprises. For example, if you see from the Echoing Green data, see more woman goals and empowerment type of focus, and in terms of their beneficiary groups, that's one thing in terms of nature, why they're focused. But at the same time, because that in the African context, for example, South Africa and Zambia both, and also Uganda, all the same, the huge the unemployment rate for the youth group, and including male, and there are a lot of actually issues with the job unemployment rate. So a lot of male actually cannot get a job. So in that case, this woman-led social enterprise and their employees actually have to take care of their family as a breadwinner. So there are kind of the challenges for these families in because of the economic situation in these countries. So when us is more sometimes in male and female, and they actually, it's not really contrast, but actually they dealing with the same problem in this case. So, and the second question about societal and cultural and policy and constraints, that's definitely there. It constrains social innovation. For example, in terms of government funding, there are lacking government funding. There are a lot of regulations. For example, a lot of accountability components, but at the same time, when government provide the funding for those services or enterprises, we saw a lot of red tape, a lot of paperwork and unnecessary regulations that actually create lots of barriers for those small scale social enterprises getting funding. So that's one thing. And also social, cultural, environment, a lot of patriarchal, male dominant culture. Sometimes the limits of a woman's actually contact with actually funders and other social societal resources. Definitely that's a limitation constraints of these woman-led social enterprises, but it's not necessarily that itself completely prevent these woman-led social enterprises adopting social innovation. Because if you see these cases from 5 cases, you see a lot of actually they adopt different legal type, but at the same time they are running as a hybrid nature of a co-op. So they are mixing. So by using this hybrid type of nature of social enterprises, they create certain kind of a social innovation out of it. And also, if I look at some cases from those social entrepreneurs' revenue income generation, they find ways to bring revenue into their organizations beyond the charitable model. So definitely limits constraints, but it cannot completely stopping from those founders actually adopting those social innovation approaches. And if you have any other follow-up questions, please feel free to do so. But thank you for the great question.
Thank you very much for the explanations. The next, I would like to ask Dr. Sanju. Okay. What about the sustainability of Indonesian health finance?
Am I okay? All right, that's wonderful question. It's very wonderful questions. Thank you, Pahe, for wonderful questions. What about the sustainability of Indonesian health insurance, especially after COVID? Well, when I see, let me explain a little bit about before COVID, then after COVID. That will be like some comparative study, and it will be wonderful. Before COVID, if somebody say in Indonesia, like let's apply for health insurance, so people are like, no, it's unnecessary, that's I don't want, or what for we wasting the money. So it was not that literate financially, they're not aware about it. Like most of people not aware about it. But after COVID, when they face all these issues, health issues, financial issues, and they get this new turmoil, and then finally everyone like now days like, oh, I needed health insurance. And not only that, if any health insurance company, when they offer the health insurance policies, people really like, their ear and their all brain senses become very aware, like, okay, how much you cover, for what purpose, and everything. The customer itself themselves, really want to know about detail. So this is really good things. I mean, this is the good sign for that. People are really also financially, they going to literate, like where they in like what much amount, how much amount they'll cover, and in what condition cover. There's a lot of health disease, like, for maybe cancer, for maybe what is called some injuries, special injuries, or maybe a long whatever. I mean, there's a lot of health issues, a lot of disease comes we need to face, so people are very big, like be aware about pricing also, and about their policies also. So this is really something very remarkable things coming in the Indonesian market, that what I have seen these days. And more about what sustainable health insurance, because there are a lot of health insurance companies, they are providers in Indonesia, like a Manulife and other, Americans and the Indonesian. There's a lot of, but what I have seen that yes, there is sustainability, what is called the health insurance is like they have very sustained market in Indonesia, but still Indonesian finance government should make like give some policies toward health insurance, that they can really apply to the properly in the finance Indonesian market very well. So I think and I believe that in Indonesia, the health insurance is going to be very sustained in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sanji. Okay. Bu Josie, any more questions from the participants?
Yeah, I have a question to Dr. Sanju relating to economic healthiness, especially in Indonesia. Actually, nowadays Indonesia healthy facilities was increasing so much, yeah, especially during the COVID-19. There are so many updates in healthy facilities, but our people mindset, it was they still think that others country healthy facilities was better, like in Malaysia or maybe in Singapore, and they also think it was cheaper. But if we are relating to the Pak Heri question about sustainability in Indonesian health insurance, by paying the insurance, we can, experiencing the same facilities in Indonesia. And in a few articles that I read before, they also state that Indonesian health facilities, especially in big city like in Jakarta or maybe in Surabaya, is as good as in other country. I would like to ask to you what your
Okay, all right. So this is
opinions about it.
I have heard these questions from many of my Indonesian fellows as well. So in regard like Indonesian healthcare system, I mean or what we can say reputation, as we call reputation, right? Isn't that, Ms. Joshi?
Yeah.
Right, because a lot of people here go to treatment for Singapore and Thailand and even Australia and so other countries, right? Isn't that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think Indonesian health care system is also good, but one thing we have to take a look about the population of Indonesia. Population of Indonesia. So population of Indonesia is 230 million around. It's approximately maybe 300 million, right? So of course, this country need a lot of doctors, expert doctors, and according to my understanding, is still doctor is the health care is still not enough, not sufficient. So it is limited in the even city areas, Jakarta, Surabaya, and all other areas. But if you go to poor village, the village area, and there's a lot of normal areas that's far away from city area, still they do not have the efficient or available good health system, or they could not afford that much, even the price as well. So let's think about let's talk about what is called about reputation of health, Indonesian health care system. Why it is happening? Because it is called the effect of localization, because when you have always local, you see surrounding you, oh, this treatment is not good, it's like, and so on. So your image is like this. But one thing Indonesian medical system should apply, that is they should exchange the healthcare system, like bringing other foreign doctor in Indonesia. They're working together, and that will be give like the new change the image of Indonesian healthcare system. Yes, Indonesian doctor are also enough, they are enough capable to handle the all kind of disease. We don't need to go abroad. I mean, this is the one of the way. And also I think Indonesian health ministry need to take the appropriate health what is called reforming policies, that this would, I mean, bring foreign doctors and exchange, especially exchange. And also Indonesian doctors should go abroad and have exchange and see how the worldwide disease is going, and they can cure in Indonesia. It is possible to cure in Indonesia. So the people start believing, and they could have the good image. And finally, Indonesians people will be very rare. They will be travel abroad for health treatment. I think so. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sanju.
Welcome, a pleasure.
Any more questions? Okay, I think it's no more questions. So what do you think, Josie?
I think it's okay. We can move
Okay.
to the next agenda. We can
All right.
take a photo before the closing act. Bu Sandra, are you here? Okay. If not, I ask to all the participants to open your camera, and yeah, we will take a picture together, and I will be the one who will take the picture. Let's see what many slide in this. Okay, everyone, please open your camera. We will be waiting. And then
Josie, you done?
I will take for. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't open my camera. Yeah. So I will take a picture at the first slide. And then I will move to the next. Okay, that's all. I think we can close our presentation or our webinar for today. Thank you so much for the Dr. Bob and Dr. Tinzar and Dr. Sanju and Dr. Tiffany for the future information and also the certified from our university, Universitas Surabaya. I will contact you later. That's all from me. Pak Heri.
Thank you all. Yeah. So we will invite you next sessions maybe, yeah, for further discussion. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the
Thank you.
invitation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Po, Dr. Tiffany, Dr.
you.
Tika, Dr. Sanju. Thank you. See you next time.
See you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Dr. Sinja, thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you all the participants as well. Thank you, Ms. Joshi.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Sanju.
Okay.
Okay, all of the participants can leave their Zoom. I will close the Zoom in 5 minutes. Thank you.